Hello everyone. So we're here today with Robyn Kennedy from Bucks Music. So thank you, Robyn, for joining us. So could you give us a brief overview of your current job?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Robyn. I'm the Senior Sync Manager for Bucks Music. So I kind of deal with everything from pitching songs to negotiating deals to writing the license and negotiating the license. So kind of the whole thing from start to finish.
Great. And could you just explain the difference between a publishing company and a recording company?
Yeah. So the easiest way that I find to explain it is a record label is for artists, as a publisher is for songwriters. So the record label will look after the recordings themselves, and the publishers will look after the songs. So, you know, one song could have 10 different covers that are all looked after by different record labels, but the same publisher will still publish that one song.
Okay. And how did you engage with music at school, college and university?
So I started playing music from quite a young age. I think I started playing flute when I was about 6, and threw in some piano lessons in there. And kind of music was a big part of my life all through school, particularly classical music. I never really kind of got into pop until embarrassingly late. But from there, I studied music at university, which was my little rebellion. I think my parents wanted me to study maths or something a bit more concrete, but yeah, so it's kind of always been a part of my life, and you know, picked up violin and started singing lessons and played in orchestras and choirs and everything else my whole life really. But it wasn't until I was about my second year of uni when I actually realized that I hated performing and didn't want to do it as a career, and that's when I found the music industry and discovered that as a career instead, which was happy because
Yeah.
otherwise it could have gone horribly wrong.
So how did your first job stem from university then?
So when I was at university, it was actually during the 2008 financial crisis. So my dad suggested that I get a job alongside my studies, because he thought that someone coming out of university without any job experience just wouldn't have any luck finding a job, which turned out to be very accurate. So during my second year of university, I just started, you know, Googling music roles in Birmingham, where I was at university, and found a company called Ditto Music, who were advertising for just a kind of music assistant, just kind of running around and helping them with bits and bobs. And I started working there. And that absolutely completely opened my eyes to the music industry as a career. So luckily I worked with them until I finished university, and then left university and started looking for work in London, and started out at Kobalt as a receptionist, and kind of built my way from there.
Oh, excellent. So what were the jobs that came after Kobalt then?
So Kobalt, I was really lucky to join when they were kind of went through a big expansion. So I started off on reception and kind of helping the sync team, and then moved to kind of heading up the sync administration there, in about, I think by the time I left 4 years later, I was kind of heading up World X US, on all the sync administration. So from there, I went to a company called Music Sales, which is now called Wise Music. So I was doing their creative sync and licensing. I spent about 3 years there, and then moved to a company called Reservoir, which is it was Reservoir / Reverb Music. So Reservoir was the American company and Reverb was the UK company. So I was doing their sync there for a couple of years, and now I'm at Bucks.
Oh, excellent. So in terms of students doing the same thing as you, so you've built a successful career and would like students to be able to do that as well. What's the single best thing you think students could be doing whilst they're at university to establish themselves in the industry?
The best thing you can do, I know it's that old phrase of like, it's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's really true. And the best thing you can do, I think, is just kind of start reaching out to people now on LinkedIn, especially during lockdown. I mean, don't just start adding random people, that's annoying, but you know, write a message, You know, say you're looking for advice and want to connect with people in the industry, if you can take the time to research someone, see what work they've done, comment on that, that's always kind of goes a long way. I think just kind of start building your networks. That's not only the people that you're studying with now, but you know, people who have just entered the workforce. You can kind of reach out to people who've been at companies for a year or so, asking how they did it, and then people more senior as well. I think that kind of thing, just to grow your network as much as possible, is the best thing you can do.
Great. Good advice. And in terms of your own career, what have been the highlights, do you think?
I think the best thing in my personal career is when you kind of get a big ad for an unknown artist. Obviously it's nice to get the big flashy ads that, you know, make lots of money and everyone knows that song. But for me personally, I know I've worked with artists who have been able to, you know, take the money and put down deposit on a house that they never dreamed they'd be able to do and stuff like that. I know it sounds really cheesy, but it's really heartwarming, you know, just because I, you know, played their song to the right person at the right time. So anything like that is just, you know, just love seeing their ads on TV. It's brilliant.
And on the other side, aside from the pandemic, what have been the most challenging moments, do you think?
I think a lot of the time managing writers' expectations. I know, you know, sync gets sold to them as this brilliant thing, and yes, you can make a lot of money from it, but actually realistically, you know, you can't just play an ad, you know, a song to an ad agency or a director and get the sync. It has to be the right song being played at the right time, and you know, it can't have swear words in it, it can't have certain things. There's so many kind of stipulations, and I think sometimes writers kind of see it as like the golden goose that's laying all the eggs, and actually is a lot more work that goes into it behind the scenes that they don't see. So sometimes just kind of trying to explain to a writer that you know, you're not going to get a sync every week is quite difficult. So that's often quite difficult.
Okay, and you talked about working with artists there. So what is the best way for an artist to approach a publisher initially?
So it's a tricky one because obviously, you know, you feel like you want a publishing deal or a record deal when you feel you're good enough, but you know, it might not, the publisher or the label might not kind of see it outright. I think the best thing you can do is try and build up a team of people around you, whether that's, you know, a manager or, you know, even guys like a lawyer, an accountant, or just people who really like your music, just, you know, supervisors who are backing your corner, or just people in the industry. And I think the more you can surround yourself with people who are supporting you, the better it looks, really. And that goes for, you know, writing with other people as well. If you can write with other songwriters who already have publishing deals and they can bring it to their publisher and say, look, I wrote with this person, they're great. So again, it just comes down to like networking again. Is just the best thing you can do, and yeah, get as many people backing you in your corner as you can.
Okay, great. And last question, which is excuse me, the typical week. That's what we were going to talk about. So what a typical week looks like for you, both the fun stuff and maybe the not so fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the music industry, I guess it's the same with all creative industries. There is no typical week. I mean, I'm constantly got several deals on the go at one time. So that would be deals that I'm pitching for. So sending out music, you know, a director says, oh, I've got a scene in a film where this happens, I need some music. So constantly pitching ideas for that. You know, people coming to me saying, I want to use this piece of music in my ad, how much would you charge? So I'm constantly, you know, got a state of negotiations on the go for that. You know, the same with deals that have just closed, you know, doing license negotiations. So that is kind of a constant in the background, doing all of that. On top of that, I'm trying to stay on top of all my contacts. So I'm emailing people, I'm ringing them, I'm going for meetings with them, although not so much anymore. Yeah, so there's that kind of constant. I'm organising showcases for my writers, you know, events that they can perform at so that, you know, the supervisors can come along to them. Going to networking events, which is pretty fun. So that would be, I think pre-COVID, I would probably have at least one a week, if not more. The more networking events you can go out to, the better. And we've always just got this new music kind of coming in, so I'm constantly listening to new music, and you know, going to meetings with writers and talking to them about what people in sync are looking for. And you know, so you're kind of doing it both sides. You've got the writers on one side and the supervisors on the other, and you're just kind of constantly in between the two of them, trying to not only, like, you know, help both sides, but kind of manage expectations, as we were saying earlier, and making sure everyone's happy all round, really. Yeah, so and then on top of that, you kind of have a lot of gigs in the evening. So you know, we try and support our writers by going to gigs and taking supervisors, and you know, sometimes that includes going to dinner before or taking them for drinks. So it's a really sociable job. I like absolutely love that side of it, and it's kind of a shame that we haven't had that so much in COVID. But yeah, it's kind of juggling a lot of balls, I would say, and especially in sync, where deadlines, you know, loom so fast. If you don't get a song out to, you know, a director and the ad has to go on air tomorrow, it's gone. If you can't get approval in time, it's gone. Like, so you're constantly trying to time manage things, but it's good fun. It's good fun if your head is that way inclined.
Great. Well, thanks for all your advice, and we'll see you again soon.
Great. Thank you for having me.